Was trying to make little words out of it. Can, I mean, watch
Okay.
Can.
I need some reading help tonight.
Brandon's here, he'll help you.
I know he's here, he's ready.
But
We'll do some randoms tonight. We'll do, okay, we're gonna give Brandon John 1:42. John 1:42. And we'll give, Ginger,
Okay.
John 12, verse 20 to 22. We'll give Haley John chapter 6, verses 7 to 10. Let me see what else I have. Okay. We'll give Tony Colossians 3:13. We'll give Karen 1 Peter 1:16. We'll give Rick Romans 15, verse 7. We'll give Tim 1 John 1 and 7. We're giving Roger Gibbons Matthew 23, verse 27 and 28. We'll give Christy Luke 6:36. I'll hold there for a moment till I get this. So we start by backing up for just a moment to look at what we have covered in the study of what we are watching. On the study of what we are watching, the three things that we have studied about watching your words, watching your attitude, and watching your temptations. Remember, we are watching and watching plenty of it. If y'all need light back there, y'all can turn that light on. I just realized it wasn't on. I said, if y'all need light on, you can turn it. Well, if you need it, it'll ambience you. If you need more, you can turn it on. So we've studied this word watch and some things in the word for the letters of watch that we've studied. Now, can anybody guess what word we're looking at tonight while we're watching? We're watching some things. We're watching some words, some attitude, and some temptations. So, what do you think we're going to watch tonight?
Choices.
Okay. Anybody else got one for the letter C of what you think we're watching? Words, attitude, temptations. What's next? Some of y'all have more excitement than the Black Friday sale at midnight. Okay. I've got choices. I got character. Who said something else?
Christ.
Christ. What else? What can we study? We're watching some things.
Confusion.
Okay. Just because you are confused don't mean we should watch confusion. Y'all agree with that? Because Ginger didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so as we expound tonight on some things and looking at the things we are watching, we're going to study a word that's in fine. Now, Karen said, what word?
Choices.
Get your lesson ready. You can pick up teaching here in just a minute.
Choices.
Yeah. So here we go. So let's look at the word. Dylan, guess
character.
the word character. We've studied words, attitude, and temptations. But what do you say the meaning of the word character is? What does that really mean?
An odd person.
Huh?
Odd person.
An odd person. They're a real character. What else does this word mean?
Behavior.
Okay.
How you carry yourself.
Okay. What else? What does this word mean? Anybody else got any other meanings of this word? No?
It can mean to have morals too.
Huh?
It can mean to have morals.
Uh-huh. So, if we look first at the definition of the word character, the features and traits that form the individual nature of some person or thing. The aggregate of features and traits that form the individual nature of some person or thing. The moral or ethical qualities, that's another one as Steve mentioned. Good repute. These all line. Now, I wanted to line this up a little bit with another word because they do flow together in what we're going to study. So, since we know that this is the baseline definition of the word character, tell me what this word right here means.
How you act.
How you act. Okay.
Values.
Your values. What else? What does the word moral mean?
Meaning.
Huh?
Meaning.
Okay.
Like the moral of the story is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Anybody else got anything to throw in there? What this word means? So we'll look at it just a second. Concerned with the principles or rules of right conduct, or the distinction between right and wrong, also being ethical. Expressing or conveying truths or counsel as to right conduct as a speaker or literary work, capable of conforming to the rules of right conduct. To be moral, you have to be capable of conforming to the rules of right conduct. I took out of a Bible concordance that's got other comments in some things, and I found this. I put this in here so you all can see it tonight. But this is a good way to look at some things when we look at character. Now, character goes much farther and deeper into thought than maybe what we even realize. But tonight, we are looking at this for the goal purpose of watching our character, ourselves, our own character as ourselves. It's defined as strength of your moral fiber. A.W. Tozer described character as the excellence of moral beings, as the excellence of gold is its purity, and the excellence of art is its beauty. So the excellence of man is his character. Persons of character are noted for their honesty, ethics, and charity. And descriptions such as man of principle and woman of integrity are assertions of character. A lack of character is moral deficiency, and persons lacking character tend to behave dishonestly, unethically, and uncharitably. Here's one thing that you got to look at when you talk about character. There is some things that does not depend at all. When character does not depend. A few examples of those are finances, status, any other standards that are used to define significance in the world. They're never depending. Character never depends on those things. We're going to see why in just a moment. So I want you to look at it this way. What do we use a compass for?
Directions.
How many in this room could I give a compass to? I'm going to take your cell phone away. I'm going to give you the real magnetic field compass, and I need you to take me in a certain direction. How many in the room could use it? Haley's not raising her hand. Don't worry. Just think about it. I used to use it just for fun. We used to use it. We go in the woods and Dad would say something like, let's go 50 yards north. We'd head that way. Or he'd go around the ridge and say, go 100 yards west. I'll meet you over there in a little while. We'd head on that compass. And if you wasn't paying attention, I'll tell you what was funny. What happened if you was watching the compass the whole time trying to keep that needle straight up?
Hit a tree.
You'd fall in a hole, you'd knock your head off, you'd run over a rock, maybe something happened all through whatever you was going. But character relates to your moral compass. And as we look for examples of that, we need to understand what we're looking for. We need to see what it means to actually be a person of character. And let me tell you what this is. When you figure out a person's character, you have done the equation and summed up a person's thoughts, intentions, desires, and their actions. When you read a person's character, you are looking at the summation of a person's thoughts, intentions, desires, and actions. And it's good to remember that it is gauged by general tendencies. It's not a few isolated actions that build your character. And so we must look at your whole life to see what your character is actually made of. A Sunday school teacher wrote a blog post about 2023, and he was a very educated man, and he taught in a Christian school. But he also used a reference statement, and I pulled the example of this so we can use, of the definition. This is the definition of the person's character that he used, and he taught the kids in this Christian school this very statement, and this is a good one, that character is who you are when no one else is looking. It's revealed through your actions, and it's born very deep inside in places that no one can even really see. The result of a process and the product of repeated choices. If you repeat choices, that is building your character. Whether it's wise choices, if it's foolish ones, just like we know that good people can make bad decisions and bad people can do a good deed. But those isolated things do not define the character that we see. And we're going to look at those. So the first thing tonight is Proverbs 4. I'm going to give you Proverbs 4 first thing tonight. The first thing that we are to do, okay? The first thing that we are taught to do is to guard our hearts with all what? Diligence. What's that mean?
Constantly watching, not straying.
Watch. We're back to that word again, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So this says by guarding our hearts shows us out of our core inner being and shapes our actions and influences of our lives. Our character is all built around these things. Now we guard our hearts. We should be guarding our hearts with all diligence. For out of it are the issues of life. We're going to see some biblical characteristics here in just a moment. And the first easy one I'm going to give you, we've studied before in this class. But in Galatians, Paul describes what we know as the fruit of the Spirit, which includes all of these listed in Galatians 5. And these qualities reflect a strong character that are shaped by the Holy Spirit's work in a believer's life. God tells in 1 Samuel 16:7 a verse. I've got it here in just a second. The Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the what? Outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. God values your inner qualities and character more than their external charm or attributes that we see. And all of our character should be a result of the Spirit's work of sanctifying us. In Romans 5, these two verses we see, dealing with character is a consistent manifestation of Jesus in what life? Character in the believer is a consistent manifestation of Jesus in what life? You are manifesting what life? And character in the believer is a consistent manifestation of what life? Huh? Okay. Who are you being formed into the image of?
Jesus.
Okay. And by doing that, and you are being formed into the image of Christ, then the believer is a consistent manifestation. Character as a believer is the actual manifestation of Jesus in his own life. Because purity of the heart that God gives becomes your actions. Remember, character is what we will call, and let me pull that back because we're going to reference back to that in just a moment, of who you are when no one else is looking. Have you ever heard the statement, and I hear this all the time, but have you ever heard the statement that baby looks just like its mama? Or that little boy looks just like his dad? Have you heard that before? I hear it all the time, especially at church. Lord, look, he looks just like you. He looks just like you. Lord, she has your eyes. She has, she's got, look at her face. She's got your chin. Have you heard that? Mm-hmm. Very familiar. We reflect attributes of our parents, both by nature and by nurture. And we also become more like our parents in time as we are impacted by their example. Well, somebody, let's see here. Let me find somebody. Let me see here. Courtney, look up John 3 and 3. Look up John 3 and 3 for a moment. There's one thing about it. We have some character traits that come from our parents. And we become more like them in time as we are impacted by their example. But when you become a Christian, something happens. What does John 3:3 say?
Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God.
So, when you become a Christian, you're born a second time, but not in the mother's womb. God gave you a new nature. Whose nature did he give you? His. While you still struggle with sin in a worldly life and in an earthly body, the inside has changed. There has been a change on the inside. We say a lot of times that a lot of people worry about people that say they get saved because why? I hear this all the time. People worry about whether or not somebody got saved because why?
Their actions.
They see no change from within. They didn't see any change. Well, we look, just like 1 Samuel, we look on the outward appearance. We're watching what everybody does based off their outward appearance. But one of the things that we know is that DNA traces us back to what? Tony's DNA is going back to a month. How many times have I talked about this evolution problem in this country?
That was funny.
Huh? Anyway, so DNA traces us back to what? No. If I take you to do a DNA test, what normally are they doing with a DNA test?
Two parents.
In today's world, is to see who your parents are. Well, you got to look at it this way, that you find in 1 John 3 and 9 the very basis of DNA and what happens. You belong to God. If you are a child of His, when the DNA test comes back, He is the Father. Whose TV show was that? There you go. You are the Father. The evidence, let me ask you this question. How do we know the evidence that the DNA will show you that the Lord is your Father? That God, the Father, Jesus is your Father.
Spirit inside you.
Okay, but how do I determine that? The evidence that they are no longer continually living in sin. The evidence. We will know them by what?
Fruit.
That they
Bear.
bear. That's the external. And as you develop your character, what is God doing with your character every day?
Molding it and everything.
Be ye not conformed to this world, but be transformed. He is transforming your mind and the works that are going on in your life while you identify as a child of His. Now, I'm going to give you some characters tonight. And when I give you these characters' names, because we're looking at characteristic traits of a person, I should be able to know you because of the fact that you have conformed to doing conduct that is right. But now I'm going to take it a step further tonight, and we're going to look at some biblical characters that we want you to tell us what you know about the person's character. And this is going to be the first one we're going to start with tonight. What do you know about it?
It's translated.
Okay.
He walked with God.
Okay.
Testimony that he's got.
Okay. Now, let me say this, because I want to make sure we all are on the same page. Did Enoch literally walk with God? That's the first question.
In the Spirit.
Huh?
In the Spirit.
Okay. But did he literally walk with God? I'm not saying physically. Literally walk with God.
Bible said he did.
That's the easiest way to answer the question.
Yeah.
They're making it really hard. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. He walked so closely with God that the Lord simply took him home one day. Do you know that Bible scholars believe that him and Elijah were the only men to walk so closely with God that they did not experience death? Those two names. That's a character worth imitating. Is when you walk so close to God, or with God, not to Him, but with God, that the Lord simply takes him home and never experiences death. That's a character of someone. What do you know about this character? Y'all got to be able to answer this. You TV folks in the room that watch it continuously have to know this picture. See, I told you, that was that easy. See how quickly that hit? They got quiet on Enoch, but they know this picture real quick. What do you know about this? What's the character? I'm not talking about the person. What's the character of this movie? What's his goal?
Hero.
Huh?
The hero.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't hear.
A hero. Yeah. Okay. What about this one?
No.
Found grace from the Lord.
Okay. What else? Okay.
He was a preacher.
But we're not talking about who Noah was and what he did. I want to know the character of Noah. Okay, I got obedient. There's a word.
Yeah, that's it.
What else? We know who he is and what he done. But what we need to know is his character. What would be Noah's character? Man, that's making it hard, Roger. Study this real good. You can teach it in Sunday school. What is Noah's character? See, there's something behind the knowledge that we've gained about Noah that tells us his character. What do we know about Noah's character?
He's faithful.
Huh?
Faithful.
Here's one thing I want you to think about. Life requires us to make difficult choices. And some of those choices makes absolutely no sense. And the example is when God told him to build a boat.
Mhm.
How long had it been since it had rained? Huh?
Never.
It had never rained. I want you to think about that for a moment.
Mhm.
It had never rained. And God said, you better build a boat. You better get to building. Now we know it took him how long? 120 years to build it. But think about that. Responding to obedience to that kind of challenge requires some godly character. To make difficult choices that don't make sense. To build a boat and prepare for a flood. And that's in Genesis chapter 6. Although it had never rained. Okay? Who's this?
License, Regus, some other.
Huh? Okay. What's his character?
Fighter.
Mhm.
Okay. What's his character? Yeah. But what was the character? We're not talking about who it is and what he done. What is his character? Huh?
Anger?
No?
No.
No? If you pull the story behind this movie of The Gladiator, that came out in 2000 for those of you that are young.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Transforms personal tragedy into righteous vengeance against Rome's corruption in this historical epic. And it also says he balances warrior ferocity with profound grief, and his journey from a decorated commander to legendary fighter is pure. Delivered with growling intentionally unexpected vulnerability, whether commanding legions or the Colosseum crowd, Maximus became the template for the tormented action hero. Whispered promises to his murdered family, elevating sword and sandal spectacle into genuine stakes.
Who is that?
That is Russell Crowe that played the Gladiator. But the character behind him is what he was doing. His actions were fulfilling from the character. All right, let me give you another one. What is the character of this one? This is a good one.
Willing to trust God.
Okay? That's a character of Abraham. Any other character of Abraham?
Righteous.
Okay? Anything else you can think of as the character of Abraham? Now, these are all examples of godly character of people. I'm just using biblical examples in this. Genesis chapter 12, there's 3 verses. We all, if I tell you to go to a place that you've never been and you don't know how to find it, what do you do? What do you do? If I tell you,
GPS.
thank you. You look it up and put it in your phone or your car and let it do what? Navigate. And how many times have you not got there? Has anybody ever went somewhere that didn't exist or the address wasn't where it was supposed to be?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to contemplate that you're making a trip without knowing the final destination. When someone says we're going on a trip, where to? I'm not telling you. And here you are just broadly going down the road. That's like driving with Karen. You know, where are we going? I don't know yet.
Into a tree.
Huh?
Into a tree.
Well, that's where you ended. But going on a trip without knowing the final destination, God told Abraham, known as Abram at that time, to go to an unknown land. You're going to an unknown land. He also promised Abraham that he would make him into a great nation, when logic said that that was not possible. But Abraham knew how to have faith in God, and he waited. He waited. Examples of godly character in the Bible remind us that we cannot get ahead of God's direction or God's timing when he says to go. But we don't know where the destination is. Anybody know this one?
Was he on Roots?
The actors.
Yeah.
Huh? No, the character of who he played. What was the character of who he played?
Dressed like that.
Slave.
Huh?
Slave.
Okay, he was a white Irishman
Oh,
because he got his name from his mop of crimson hair. But in this movie, if you look it up, although everybody knows when I say who the character was, they're going to say, "Oh, that's Morgan Freeman. He played in Shawshank Redemption." Okay, that's not what I'm asking. What was his character? What was behind what actions we seen coming out of him? What life and background and building under nature and nurture and the experiences that he was exposed to did we see and find to be his character? All right, let's do another one. What would you say the character of Moses was?
The leader.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? No?
Persuader.
Huh?
A persuader.
Okay. Moses stands out as the first in the Bible, the first leader of God's people. And despite the initial objections, he eventually accepted the call to go confront who? Pharaoh. And he then was going to lead the Israelites. We learn to seek God's wisdom in leadership and strength to make tough decisions. Leaders have to make decisions that are not always popular, but they have to be committed to following God's design for how he made things, regardless of popular opinion or culture change or what is socially acceptable. Moses led all the way through until nearing the promised land. And then we know Joshua took them into the promised land. But all through those years, we find the one that became of great leadership, possibly one of the greatest leaders of God's people, and being the first. What about this one? What? Tell me something, a character.
And after God's own heart.
Okay. That's a character of David. What else?
He was a leader too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me give you some verses. 1 Samuel 13. This is an example. Once described as a man after God's heart, a man after God's own heart, we see his passion for God throughout his life. And we may learn about godly character best in our greatest failures. After committing adultery with Bathsheba and murdering her husband, David hid his sin for a while, but once confronted with the truth, he begged God. In Psalms 51, he talks about where he begged God for forgiveness. You know, godly character isn't about our perfection. but turning back in humility once you have fallen or failed. That is godly character. Okay? What about this one?
E.T.
Yeah. What was the character of E.T.? Anybody remember this? Do you know this movie came out in 1982? It did. Can you believe it?
So,
But what was the character of E.T.?
Friendly.
Huh?
Friendly.
Friendly. What else? Who was he with? What was the little boy's name? Elliot. Elliot, that's what it was. So, when Elliot cuts his finger, here we go. Elliot cuts his finger in the movie. All of a sudden, E.T.'s finger starts to glow and reveals what? Huh? The power to heal. See, it wasn't a demonstration of simple alien powers, but an expression of empathy and a growing bond with Elliot, the character. All right, let's give another one. What is the character of Elijah? What do you think the character of Elijah is? We've said that David was what? What was his character? Huh? Yeah. Turning back to God with humility. We said that Moses was a leader. We said that Abraham was what? He was faithful. We talking about the character of Noah. What did we say that one was? Obedience, to respond to choices even when they don't make sense. So what's the character of Elijah? Have you ever noticed that God led people, we'll call his representatives, but God led these specific ones to confront people that were in powerful positions? Elijah had an ongoing battle with King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. And it all started with God doing something. What did God do in this battle? What do we know about that? God started this by doing something in this ongoing battle with Israel's King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. He stopped the rain, withheld the rain. And then what happened in 1 Kings 18? He sent the fire from heaven.
What's in the sacrifice?
All the while, they're saying that their God is who?
God.
Baal.
Yep.
Their God is Baal. And he can do just as good as Elijah's God and the God of heaven. All the while that this is going on, and they chop it up and put it on the altar in pieces and do all this whatever they do, and then they fill the barrels and fill the trenches and everything else that goes on, and they've got it drowned completely out, and Elijah stands there. Even if the people in charge did not want to hear it, he still spoke the truth. He never compromised to giving in to what they wanted to hear. He did not back down. As a matter of fact, he went overboard for what you and I probably would have even made efforts of, to say, instead of just a few barrels of water, let's just flood the place, plumb up, cover it all, the water's running everywhere. And you think all the way through, when God sent the fire to heaven, it says that it licked it up, and there wasn't what? There wasn't a drop. But the entire time before God proved it, Elijah did not back down. He continued speaking the truth. So speaking the truth, we got another one. What about this one? I'll give you a good example on this. Anybody got an example of Daniel's character tonight? We're talking about our character. Huh?
Faithful.
What?
Patient.
Patient, faithful. What else? Any other character of Daniel?
Fearless.
Okay. People wrestle with this, but people in positions wrestle with something more than others. And one of the things is the balance between finding common ground and selling out. How many places do you know, churches that you know of, that have sold out to holding the truth and the grounds in which they knew, I won't say they know, but they knew to be the right way? Because again, moral and character comes from you being able to conform to the right conduct. And how many places, even anything from preachers to pastors to churches, you name it, have sold out to the world or gave in to things that would not be found to be commonplace in a church. And Daniel demonstrated a good whack to the tightrope. You think about, he was able to work humbly with the kings. What happened with the dream? What did Daniel do with the dream?
Interpreted.
He interpreted the dream. He also refused to back down when there was non-negotiable convictions being threatened in Daniel chapter 6. He would not back down. What was the problem in Daniel chapter 6 of that he refused to negotiate and back down? Why did Daniel get put in the lion's den? Why did he get put there? Prayed. See, there could be no common ground, and the rest of them had to sell out. But yet Daniel refused to sell out to the crowd, the common ground with the world. Determined to be a godly example of character when he was praised for interpreting dreams or sent to a lion's den for his prayer life. Your character is influenced by and developed by your choices. Daniel in Daniel 1:8 says that he resolved not to defile himself. That's the first thing, in Babylon. And that choice was an important step in formulating an unassailable integrity in his life. Character, in turn, influences our choices. Let's see here. Proverbs 11:3. Dylan, look up Proverbs 11:3. We need to know what that says. Proverbs 11:3. Let's see what Proverbs 11:3 tells us. I've got a note that says Proverbs 11:3. While he's looking that up, we said, what is the character traits or character of Daniel? What is that example? What did we say Daniel's character was? Huh?
Patient.
I've heard patience, not backing down, or selling out to the world.
Interpreter.
Did you find 11:3? What's that say?
The integrity of the upright shall guide him, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them.
The integrity of the upright guides them, conforming to the right conduct, moral code, as we'll call it, the moral fibers of our being, is what guides us. How do you know what's right and wrong?
Conscience.
Can't be. No. Because then you're allowed to make your own opinion of what's right and what's wrong. How do you learn what is right and wrong?
Okay, weapons.
Huh? Ginger learned right and wrong from getting whippings. She just said it for the record. How do we learn right from wrong?
Taught.
Huh? You're taught it. From?
From mom and dad.
From your mom and dad?
Scripture or
Okay, from the Bible. What else? The police officers that keep coming to you. I mean, whatever the case may be, we're taught right and wrong. It is taught to us. And the integrity of things, developing character in us, comes from these things. Now I'm going to give you a little harder one to see what you can tell me. What is the character of Andrew? What do we know about Andrew? This is one of those uncommon names. What do we know about Andrew? Let's first start off. Do you know who Andrew is?
One of the disciples.
Okay, so we've got him in the group of one of the 12. One of the 12 disciplines. What do we know about Andrew? I like this one. There's something that Andrew's character did that I love. And we're going to pull some verse examples in just a second. But one of my favorite things about Andrew as a character, the character of Andrew. Who had John 1:42?
I got that.
All right, what did that one say?
It says, and he brought him to Jesus, and when Jesus beheld him, he said, Thou art Simon, the son of Jonah, thou shalt be called Cephas, which is by interpretation a stone.
Okay, who had John 6:7-10? Okay, what does it say?
Philip answered him, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for him, that every one of them may take a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon, Peter's brother, said unto him, There is a lad here, which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. But what are they among so many? And Jesus said, Make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place. So the men sat down in number about 5,000.
And John 12:20-22. Who had that one?
There were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus.
So,
One more.
go ahead.
Philip cometh and telleth Andrew, and again Andrew and Philip tell Jesus.
A great example of character in the Bible is a name that we don't hear very much. You don't probably think of very much in studies. But there's one character of Andrew that is a wonderful example. Do you know what he was always doing? He was always bringing somebody to Jesus. All the examples that you just heard read. First, it was his brother in John 1. Then he found the boy. Now, listen. He found the boy that had the fish and the bread. And who did he bring him to? Jesus. Later, then just days before the Lord is crucified, he joined Philip in introducing some of the Greeks to who? The Lord, yeah. Always looking for a way to connect people with the Lord. That is a powerful character of someone. It's not in leadership. They're not fighting a battle and holding ground. They're not fighting the truth. They're always bringing somebody to Jesus. Okay, what about this one? Here's one. Yeah. No, not Barabbas.
Barnabas.
Barnabas.
Okay. right.
That's 2 different people.
Yeah.
Let's not do characters the wrong one. What is the character of Barnabas? Tell me. What was his real name? That's the first question. What was his real name? In Acts chapter 4 is an example. What was Barnabas' real name? Anybody know? Haley, you gonna tell us? No? Real name from Bible reference that I put is his real name was Joseph. But everyone called him Barnabas, which means the son of encouragement. In Acts chapter 4, he sold property to people that were in need. he also recordedly stood up for Saul when everyone else steered clear in Acts chapter 9. He served in both the local church as well as the mission field listed in Acts chapter 13. He also served others where they were living and helped them become more like Jesus. And for that, I put him in the list of earning place as an example of having godly character. Godly character. Now, some of you have Bible verses tonight. I'm going to let this go up here because this is some characters of God. We've seen characters of people in the Bible, but now we're doing characters of God. Who had 1 Peter 1:16? What's it say?
Because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy.
Okay. What about Colossians 3:13?
Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye.
Okay. Romans 15:7.
Wherefore, receive you one another, as Christ also received us, to the glory of God.
Luke 6:36. Did I give it to anybody? Luke 6:36. Was that yours, Christian? Okay, well, you look at it. Ephesians 5:2. Who had Ephesians 5:2? Did I give that one to anybody? Or 1 John 1:7? Anybody get it? You're welcome to write these down and reference them after class. What's Luke 6:36 tell us?
Be ye therefore merciful as your Father also is merciful.
So here's some characters of God: holy, forgive, accept others, be merciful, live a life of love, live in the light. This Christian character starts with what you believe. What you believe and hold to be true is where the character comes as a Christian. Without faith, it is impossible to do what?
Please, God.
Okay. And faith is what separates Christian character from what we will call a secular morality, or what we think is morally right conduct. You've seen so many times in today's world that people are now supporting change, liberalism. Let's just let everybody be free and be what they want to be and who they want to be and what they want to do and blah, blah, blah. The liberalism. But all through time, we are seeing more now than probably ever of a force to accept change. Are we not? And we've got to be non-discriminatory and all these things that we come up to. And there are reasons, many reasons, for a person to do a good moral act, as far as that goes. But the outward act is not solely what makes the behavior godly. It's the motive behind it. And one of the examples in Matthew 23, he tells us. What does that say, Roger?
Verse 27, okay? Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whiting sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones, and of all uncleanness. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity.
So there's many reasons for a person to do something that is outwardly good or a moral act. But that does not mean that it's the act that makes the behavior godly. I'll let you see, I just pulled in character of the Bible reference, and this is just a list with verses of all things that a Christian character would have listed. All these things are found in reference points to have listed as a character. I'll let you look at that for just a second before I show the next one. And interestingly, there is one on this list that's very relevant. I'll show you the next one as it continues about character and where it continues us. But what's the last one? Watchful. We're back to watchful with our character. Our character, we are to be watchful. In 1 Timothy 6:11, he wrote something. Who wrote 1 Timothy?
Timothy.
1 Timothy? He wrote it? Paul wrote it to Timothy. He says, flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness. Now, if we want to take ourselves in any light tonight of what people's character is, it is honest to God what they're pursuing. That is exactly what we can see. The fruit that someone is bearing is a direct representation of the character. And the character of a person, guaranteed, is what they're pursuing. Look at the people in your life around you, work, family, whatever the case may be. Look at the people around you. And what are they pursuing? Give me some examples of what you think people around you, you see all the time, every day, different things. What are people really pursuing?
Christian people pursuing eternal life.
Okay, are they? How do they do it? How are they doing it that you see it and you know that's what they're pursuing?
By attending church, studying God's word.
Okay.
Learning who Jesus is and who the Father.
Okay. All right. Any other examples?
Laying hold on eternal life.
Mm-hmm. Any other examples of what people are pursuing to build their character?
Even five faith.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Just any examples tonight? Character is very readable. You'll know them by the fruit that they bear. What fruit are people bearing in 2025? Ginger's in distress, huh? Okay.
Most people?
Yeah, just people in 2025.
Recognition.
Huh?
Popularity.
Popularity, recognition. Okay, what else?
Wealth.
Okay. Money. What else? What fruit are they bearing? That's how we're going to know them. Are the fruit that they bear. And everything outward is coming from inside. And you are to guard your heart with diligence, because there's what contains the issues of life. Who you really are when no one is looking. No one else is around looking. Who you really are. That's the character of us tonight. And all the fruit people are bearing in 2025, good or bad, whatever the fruit they're bearing, that's what we are being revealed to see of a person's character. Why is it more important for us not to worry about the other person's character, but watching our own? Why is it important that we watch our own character?
Because we have to answer for us, our own self.
If you let anger into your heart, what's coming out?
Anger.
Every time. If you let sin in the heart, darkness in the heart, what's coming out? Darkness. If you let any other things into your heart, no matter what it is, if you let it there, Tony sings the song about going into the secret place. And my heart is like a house. One day I let the Savior in. There are many rooms that, what is it, we can enter. And, but then I opened up the door and let him in. One day he walked through, and I said, Jesus, I'm not ready for you to enter in that room. And then the chorus goes, is there a place in your heart where even you don't go? I have some things hidden there that I don't want no one to know. But he what? Handed the key
Yeah.
with tears of love on his face. He says, I want to make you free. Let me go in your secret place. Godly character takes us to being the formed image of him. That is the only way you're going to be transformed from anger, pain, depression, anxiety, aggressiveness, all these things that are coming out of people in 2025 that we see. That's fruit people are bearing. Not the spirit of fear of God, not the spirit of love or kindness or anything, patience. How many people today have patience?
Not many.
I mean, seriously, how many people have patience today that can just sit on their hands as long as necessary? You think about it. Roger Cook has been hit in the head more than once, and he's still helping Robert. That is patience. Even if you don't believe it, that's patience. But all of those things, you think about this being manifested inside of us. All the things that we are, and I always say that we are these things, but all these things that are manifested, that are coming from root of being the fruit of the Spirit. The only way that we manifest love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, against such there is no law. The only way that we bear that fruit is that is what's in our heart. That is of our godly character tonight. And whatever we're pursuing is what we're building the character into. And that's when he says, flee. You get away from these things. Again, that motto I tell you is to run for your life and get away. But pursue these things. The things you should be pursuing is righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, and meekness. If we learn that what we are supposed to let into our hearts should only be what God puts in there, because that's the transformation process that we are renewed day by day. You are a new creature, as the Bible calls us. If we learn that that is what's building our character, is what we're pursuing, we'll learn that without change, I've even heard it preached, if there is no change, there is no God. They'll say, there is no salvation inside of you if there is no change. Biblically representing that if people continue to live in the worldly ways, producing the fruits of the world, living a life of sin, that's not godly character. That's not watching our character. Anybody got anything to add to that? Anybody?
How many of us tonight can truly honestly say that we're not?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Anybody? Anybody got anything at all?